Yeah. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody is having a wonderful, wonderful day out there. This is Soapbox Heroes. Sitting here today, analyzing things. I've had a little bit of time on my hands over the last day or two, and I have had some time to comb through some things. Yes, with a fine comb. And I want to talk to you about a few of them. Well, I got to watch some press conferences. I've got to watch some mainstream media coverage and news. And I've got to actually sit there and have my computer handy so I can record things in real time. You guys, you know how we like to break things down. We like to break things down in real time. We like to, here on Soapbox Heroes, we like to play what we heard and observe it, break it down, and see what makes sense and see what doesn't make sense. And I think it's fun. So today, we are going to hear from Jerome Powell, the Fed, the chair of the Fed. Now, he said some things that were very, very interesting that made me say to myself, wait a minute, do we really need to be going through this? And I'm talking about in terms of the questions that we have in lieu of the financial disaster or the finances of individuals during this coronavirus. Yes, he was on 60 Minutes, bumping his gums. Absolutely, he was on 60 Minutes, bumping his gums, and he said some things that, like I said, I think are very interesting and germane to the conversation. Very interesting and germane to the conversation. That isn't it, you guys. I got some other things. You know, we got a couple hours on. We could kick a couple of things around. The press secretary. Oh, I got her doing the dodge ball. A reporter asked her a question about about Donald Trump, saying he is taking what's the name of that medicine? I'd have to look it up. I don't want to, not the medicine. Well, what he's saying he's taking as a cure or a preventative measure for coronavirus. And we know there was people talking about it. There was outrage on one side saying he should never say that. There was outrage on another side saying, what's the big deal? It's been tested. It's been here for what, 20 years, 40 years? They use it for malaria. Then you hear people saying, well, you guys are going to try an untested vaccine. Then you hear people say he's not a doctor. Well, anyway, the press secretary, she was up there today, and I guess this is what they are doing in lieu of him getting up there with Dr. Fauci, and we might touch on him just a little bit today. Dr. Fauci and Bricks and the other doctors and Donald Trump, when they would give the press conferences. That was the fiasco a couple of weeks ago. You know, it was really entertaining, but the entertainment hasn't went too far yet. Oh, we got her dodging. We got her dodging. So in today's episode of The Dance, we have her dodging. So we're going to break that down. And we are going to break down just a little bit of mainstream media lies. Look, by this point in time, I think you guys should know by now that something that bothers me is outright lies. I feel like the media should be something we should be able to look to for useful information. But now I feel as if the information is more punditry and it's more politically driven on both sides, to where people are having a hard time defining what the truth is. And if people are going to have a hard time defining what the truth is, what use are they at this point in time? Are they becoming an arm of propaganda? Is what I'm going to ask, and I'm going to show a couple things. And it all goes together, even with the press secretary getting up there doing her dance. This is Soapbox Heroes, you guys. I'm gonna take a quick break. We're gonna come right back and we're gonna dive right into it. We're gonna get right into Jerome Powell, the Fed chief, saying some things that made me say, All right, let's get into this Jerome Powell. I've got all the clips ready today. Doom, doom, doo, doo. What's up? What's up, Delvin? What's up, mad scientists? Yes, there is their editorials. Yeah, editorials instead of information. Yep. And the thing is, the editorials are completely biased. At least let's get some fair analysis on our editorials. At least. Hey man, last night was funny. I watched back some of it today, and all I could do was this. Face palm. Straight face palm. Yeah, we got to do it again. I don't know though. It might be a fight. That might end up with a brawl. That might. That's the only place that's well, not the only place, but you can't agree to disagree. You just have to agree, or you're the enemy. What's happening with y'all? We're about to talk about hey, have we been going through this for nothing when it comes to the economy? Well, like I said, I got something for y'all. We're about to get into it. Welcome back to Soapbox Heroes. This is me, Tyrone Urban. And like I said, you guys, we are going to go ahead and dive into this. I want to talk about Powell. Jerome Powell. He's the chief of the Fed, okay? And he said some things that were very, very interesting. And so I want to go ahead and I want to play the audio. You know, we like to play the audio. We like people to hear what's going on. And I want to talk about it because when it comes to the coronavirus, it seems like we have two camps. We have the camp of, well, we need to stay home and wait till we learn more about this virus so we can, so we can learn more before we go out there and put ourselves in danger. Then there are other people who say, well, we have to open up the economy because the danger doesn't seem to outweigh the danger of closing down the economy. And the argument is, well, the government can't afford to leave everybody at home and be able to pay for people to stay at home. The economy would one day collapse sooner than later. And then again, to that, people are going to say, well, what's more important, the economy or people's health? So it seems we have those two things dueling, dancing in the night, going back and forth, saying, I hate you and you suck. And so when I was listening to this, it made me say, well, is this argument for nothing? Could this argument all be canceled? So we're going to figure it out. Let's listen to this real quick, and you guys let me know what you think. Jerome Powell, chief of the Fed.
Powell called an emergency on a Sunday. He cut rates to near zero, and in partnership with the Treasury, the Federal Reserve offered more than $3 trillion in lending to banks, businesses, the credit markets, daily business, saying it simply flooded the system with money. Yes, we did. That's another way to think about it. We did. Where does it come from? You just print it. We print it digitally. So we, as a central bank, we have the ability to create money digitally.
The Dow collapsed 8,000 points and credit markets began to freeze. Powell called an emergency meeting on a Sunday. He cut interest rates to near zero, and in partnership with the Treasury, the Federal Reserve offered more than $3 trillion.
Banks, businesses, cities, and state. 3 trillion, okay? I want you to keep that number in mind. That's not the most important part. We're going to play some more, but let's just keep that in mind. 3 trillion. And when they ask if you could just make the money, he says, well, digitally. He didn't say, no, we can't just make the money. He said, digitally.
Interest rates to near zero, and in partnership with the Treasury, more than $3 trillion in lending. Markets essential to daily business began functioning again. Fair to say you simply flooded the system with money. Yes, we did. That's another way to think about it. We did. Where does it come from? You just print it. We print it digitally. So we as a central bank, we have the ability to create money digitally. You can do that by buying treasury bills, bonds, or other government guarantees, and that actually increases the money supply. We also print actual currency, and we distribute that to the Federal Reserve banks.
But by law, Chairman Powell's Federal Reserve can only lend money that must be paid back. Congress, he believes, should spend money of interest rates to near zero.
Okay, and so they're talking about how the Federal Reserve can only lend money, but he believes that Congress should give the money that's lended. But the key is they could do whatever they want. They could print as much money as they want. And I know people are going to say, well, inflation and other things, there's going to be other factors, but I want you to listen to what he said even more, because he goes on and he expands further.
Reserve banks.
But by law, Chairman Powell's Federal Reserve can only lend money that must be paid back. Congress, he believes, should spend money to expand its historic bailout. And for all he says, this emergency is nothing like 2008.
This is not because there was some inherent or something like that, or the financial system in trouble. Nothing like that. The economy was fine, the financial system was fine. We're doing this to protect ourselves from the virus. That means that when the virus outbreak is behind us, the economy should be able to recover.
Okay, we have the chief of the Fed, and right there, he's saying that basically, and we have to break it down into parts. And so he's saying, you know what? The Fed, we could print much money as we want, essentially, and we can make the money electronically. And he gave the example of the $3 trillion that was just given in the CARES Act and the different bills. And he also goes on to say that we need to help people. He also said that, you know, it's one thing I noticed when they said at the beginning, they were talking about the money, and they said for companies, for businesses, and they said one other institution, but they never got around to talking about the actual people. And so this is the part that made me say, well, what about the people? Then he answered it for me. It looked like we got some difficulties right there. But so what he ends up saying is, he says, well, we've done a lot for, you know, for other people. We've done a lot for the businesses. And now I'm paraphrasing. He goes on to say that we should do more for the people. He says, I'm not here. He says, I can't give advice. I'm not here to give advice. My role isn't to give advice to the administration, but I am telling them that they should at least, he didn't say at least, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to play a commercial. When I come back, I'm going to have the audio for you guys because I want to make sure I have the audio right. I don't like paraphrasing if it's something that I can find right at my fingertips. So I'm gonna make sure I put my fingertips to work and come back with it because I do want you guys to hear the audio in its totality. Well, at least in his own words, because I do have it. This is Soapbox Heroes. We're gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back right after this. All right, let me find this audio.
Because you know what? You cannot go to church like that.
Gotta move fast.
Only $50. Free board out 713-775-2661 or email info@goodcornfish.com. Big Cornfish Food Extra. Houston, your voice is correct. KCLH 1230 AM radio. Emerson, Harrison, Michael Harris, John Sam, Rob Cooper, Tom Oliver, and the crew. Music, talk, and so much more. 1230 Source at 1230 KCLH.com.
All right, you guys, I'm back. I found it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to send it over to another computer. See, the things that you do when you are here and you're trying to disseminate good information. I'm going to send it to another computer and I'm going to play it. But again, what it is it's Powell, and he is talking about what should be done. And again, and I'm also going to let some sound be played of him, you know, kind of explaining his role. He's not he's an elected official, so he's going to be there for 4 years. And so he can't be fired. And so he says, you know, I'm not here for any particular whim of one particular politician. He says he is here for the good of the people. He is here for the good of the market. He is here to make sure that the market and the economy runs the way that it should. All right, and so that's what he's here for. And what I am here for today is try to make sure that we get some good information out. So I'm getting this over here and I'm going to make sure that we hear what we need to hear properly. Let me see if I can get it pulled up. All right, go over here, hit that button right there. And let's see if the magic is done correctly. And the magic is done correctly. No, it's not. I sent the wrong one. I did not do it correctly. I did not. Let me see if I got this right here. That's the wrong one. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send it again. And like I said, well, you know what? Let me go ahead. I'm gonna play something else while I do it. I want you guys to hear, this is another clip. This is Powell talking about income disparity. And I also think this is very important because, again, this is the chief of the Fed, and some of the things that he talks about, it's almost unprecedented that he talks about these things. People in this role rarely speak. And so I do want you guys to hear what he had to say.
That doesn't. One is but the data actually the chances of making tools to take part in the economy and also to create an environment where productivity can be up. It's really rising output per hour, what we call productivity, that allows wages to rise for living standards to rise over time.
Right, that's him talking about income inequality. And I do think that it's impressive that, again, the chair of the Fed is talking about income inequality, and he's actually acknowledging it. And he's acknowledging it as far as slavery. He said, it's roots of slavery and inequality. And so let me say, I finally pulled it up, and I think I pulled up the correct clip this time. So let me see.
Give them advice on particular policies, but I would say, if I'm making that, policies that help businesses avoid avoidable insolvencies, and then do the same for individuals. Keep workers in their homes, keep them paying their bills, keep families solvent.
Among the options,
All right, here, I want to play that one more time because I took so long to get that clip. Might as well make it good. Let me play it again. He's saying that his advice would be to keep the people solvent and the businesses solvent, but keep the people solvent. And that is something that we clearly haven't been seeing from our elected officials. We haven't. $1,200 and the unemployment is not keeping people solvent. And so we're having the argument over, well, should we go back to work because the economy is going to crash? Or should we stay home and do all these preventative measures to make sure that we don't get sick? And I'm not sure if all those measures are following the science, like they say, or is it following a political thought and fear? Now, so we're going to have to talk about that too when we add it. Now, from what I have learned that the Fed just can't print money, of course, without some type of inflation or without some type of consequence. But what I do get, he said in the first clip, he says that the loan programs we can do are unlimited. We can do essentially whatever we want. And so the Fed can only lend money because that's the law, but the Congress could figure something out And that's what I'm saying. I'm just listening to this, and let me play the clip again.
I don't give advice on particular policies, but I would say, if I may, that policies that help businesses avoid avoidable insolvencies and then do the same for individuals.
Okay, policies that help businesses avoid, let me see, let me make sure I say it right. You know, I want to say it right.
That do the same for individuals, that help businesses avoid avoidable insolvencies and then do the same for individuals.
Help businesses avoid insolvable problems and do the same for people. I'm just so stuck on to do the same for people. And I'm so stuck on the fact that this hasn't been happening yet. This has not been happening. The government has made sure that big companies are, are solvent. They made sure the airlines are solvent. They made sure a lot of people are solvent when it comes to big business, but they haven't yet taken care of the people. And that's where we're getting the worry. Well, should I go back out here and work? Should I put myself at risk? Because I don't know what to think. I'm hearing all kind of news, but the economy's going to collapse. I'm going to be put out. And then we have the chief of the Fed giving advice, which I know isn't his job, but he is in charge of the money. And his advice is to make sure that you can avoid insolvency that could be avoidable and help out businesses and people.
I don't give advice on particular policies, but I would say, if I may, that policies that help businesses avoid avoidable insolvencies and then do the same for individuals. Keep workers in their homes, keep them paying their bills, keep families solvent.
Among the options,
All right, keep workers solvent. And I hear you, mad scientists. I see you, Delvin, the expert. Haven't you heard of inflation? And I'm thinking about inflation too, but look what they're doing with the interest rates, and it hasn't done too much yet. So they've done it for the businesses. I'm saying, when is it time to do it for the people? 12:30 The Source. You're on the line, caller. What's on your mind?
That's pretty good. That's why they came out with this loan concept.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna give you a loan, but we can say if you pay 3 notes, 4 notes, 5 notes, you want to give the rest of it.
Mm-hmm. And if it and the forgivable loan, if it's allocated to the right things, it's completely forgivable.
Part of what America has been driven on, and you mentioned inflation a number of times. Part of what America has been driven on is keeping inflation low.
Yes.
Inflation low, ample supply of workers.
Yeah.
And then ample supply means if you got an ample supply, means a lot of folks can't find necessarily find work. Because I saw economies in the 70s and some in the 80s where there were worker shortages and prices, inflation kicked in pretty good. I mean, it wasn't a bad thing because you got big wages, but then prices go up too.
Yeah.
America has been fighting with for the past 20, 30 years is how do we keep inflation in check? And they keep it in check by keeping enough people out of work.
Yeah.
People around they're interested, but y'all can't get jobs so that you can keep prices. Because when the economy is full, then you get to be a shortage of workers, and people can start demanding more money so they can have more pleasure. And that's the biggest control that Wall Street enjoys, is having a ample labor supply, and you don't get that when everybody's got a job. You have a labor tightening.
Yeah. And see, this is my thing. To what he was talking about, keeping the people solvent. I understand, and I get it about the inflations. I'm saying the direction that the money is going based on what they have been able to print and pass out and allocate already. It seems like the direction is going in the wrong direction. And
going in that direction based on historical behavior.
yes.
And historical behavior of keeping an ample supply of labor, but this is a different kind of condition. And doing those same old things in this circumstance is going to cause some significant problems. It's already causing big problems, and it's going to cause more problems. But it's funny watching all this kind of play out. It's kind of like a monopoly game. We're going to talk about the 29, that's a Great Depression.
Yes.
You can't have a Great Depression anymore because they can go back to more money.
Yeah. And look, and did you hear when he said that? He said, yeah, I mean, we could pretty much do it digitally. He said, and we print money too. He said, what we can do is unlimited. Unlimited.
They can do what they want to do. Like, they put out, what, $3
Yes.
This is a 16-something $trillion economy when it's moving, $16+ trillion economy.
Right.
So that amount of money was over, it had its limit.
Very incremental, just for a stopgap bill, essentially.
So like 2 months worth of what the economy does. So they wanted to keep the businesses out there, whether we agree or not, so that once things kicked off, that they would be able to go back to these jobs and everything. That's the way the market's running. Like everything is going to pick up and go back like it was. But you can't do it won't work that way.
Right.
Some business things, but I think they're going to have to put more money in people's hands.
And that's exactly what I'm getting from Jerome Powell when he's saying we need to keep the people solvent. And I was surprised. I said, well, what did he just say? And then I heard later in the interview, he said they asked if Donald Trump could fire him. He was, no. So I said, I get it. So now, when you see people like him starting to speak out, something is because he can.
The independence of the fan position has always allowed them to do it. And if we like it or not, I'm not saying.
Yeah.
But he can be out there and tell you, well, we really need to do right now is get people somebody. Because they're going to be looking at, and this is going to cause the ultimate train wreck.
Yeah. And I was I was surprised to hear him talk about the income disparity and mention slavery. And so in the same vein, now follow me. He recognizes income disparity due to, the legacy of slavery. And this is his own words. Now, and he's also talking about how we could come up with whatever program you want. We could print as much money as we want. Where's my reparations, man? Where's my reparations?
The point is, they actually do whatever they want to do. He's telling you.
He just said it, didn't he? He just said it.
Yeah, they can do it if they want to do it. The question is, they want to do it.
No political will.
Yeah, no will in their heart.
Right.
They can do these things, and the problem I have is they're outright saying, talking about this income inequality, these wealth gaps, and pointing at slavery, and we're sitting around saying, well, you just have to put yourself up on your bootstraps. I knew that the system is all messed up against.
Right. And that's what I found so impressive. I'm glad you heard that, because sometimes it's like when you're doing a job and you're looking at blueprints, sometimes the blueprints aren't drawn the right way. So let's say you're doing the plumbing, but a measurement is short, or the measurement isn't in the blueprint. So maybe you'll look at the electrical schematics to see if they're running something in the same place and get that measurement. I'm getting the measurement from a different schematic, because he's talking about the market, he's talking about the coronavirus, but listen to the things that he's literally admitting while not talking about it. So when we talk about reparations and people say, oh, we can't afford it. When we talk about programs, like, oh, we can't afford it. The chair of the Fed, the chair of the Fed just sat there and told you, oh, we could make money electronically. We could do that. And we could work our way around the inflation later.
And the thing I wonder as a black person, I wonder how they can put the truth sometimes throw in our face and we turn around and just ignore it.
We don't want to see it. And sometimes it's not shown. Even though he said this on 60 Minutes, there's not going to be a lot of people that watch it. And then our news outlets are not going to just show that. In fact, for me to get that comment, to get that part of it, I had to go pick it out of 60 Minutes, which was very hard to find. Now I could find clips on anything else that he said, but not that. They don't want it to be known. They don't want you to hear that.
So, Bloomberg put it in a commercial and sent it around the whole country.
He did. Yeah, he did.
And I created 6,000 jobs. I couldn't done it if I was black or African American because of racism, redlining, discrimination type of thing.
Yep,
He just said it.
he did.
He said, I can help people like me. But if I was white, I couldn't do that because of, not because you're not company racist.
Yep,
He said because of systemic racism in this country.
yep.
They know it. Absolutely, all these people know it. Even our black Congress people know it, but they do nothing to change the game. Last time I called from the station, I had this room, but conversation totally driven on, hey, how about asking these guys to end the damn oppression against black people? We're talking about when Governor Abbott wants to come out and talk about the COVID virus and how it disproportionately affects African Americans. They're trying to use this because of disparity. Disparity upon which all the others are set. They stop going against us on giving access to fair contracts.
Yeah, they tell you the problem, but when it comes down to the solution, you get they go ignorant all of a sudden.
We have to say this in our face and not react to it. And I would love to react to it, right? But they tell you right in your face. It's because, the last time they did a study, the state of Texas did less than 1% of their business with black companies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those money, those dollars don't trickle into the community. It expands the wealth gap. And so that policy, day after day after day, they continue to expand this wealth gap.
But this is what impresses me. We're so caught up again now on Orange Man says this. He said he took this medicine. We're missing everything. We're missing everything, and that's what worries me the most. And that's how I think, okay, if we're going to talk about it specifically with black people, we get too caught up in the minutia. We get too caught up in, oh, he said this. He said, we're caught up in one person. And again, we got a Congress of 535 people that's robbing you blind.
The man has only been in office almost a term. And decades before that.
I want to. There's not a problem that has spawned since he's been here that wasn't here before he was here. And I think, and by us not looking at those facts, we're leaving the same room. We're leaving room for the Fed chairman, and people don't even know who he is. For the Fed chairman to come out there and just admit that there's racial inequalities and income inequalities, and also just admit that, hey, you know what? Maybe we should do something for the people. Right in our face, and we're not outraged. We're still talking about one person. But what we have to realize is it's the government, it's the system as a whole right now who's allowing these things to happen. It's not just one person.
I agree with you. I don't know why I can talk to someone and try to switch them over to the conversation that I'm having, and within 10 seconds, they've already diverted back on what Trump said. He did. I'm like, wait, guys. We do this thing called insanity so well that we do the same thing over and over again, and we look for that different result. Accelerate that same thing. I'm just saying, let's go peel it back and look at the details. Understand what's going on, and that's what we can fix it. Loving this current president whatsoever.
Right. I'm not loving him whatsoever, but I'm also not loving the other the Democrats and what they're doing. I'm not loving the Republicans and what they're doing.
That we need so that we can have a successful community, so that we're not under the threat of being killed by anybody and everybody, so that our people are busy solving problems and generating wealth, and we are up there too, so that they don't talk about it always in the name of poverty. Hey, Stephen Colbert just released me before, and he's saying similar things.
Yep. Look, I know what the problem is. I'm not worried about that. I want to put you Negroes in jail because it's going to satisfy a constituency of people who are voting. The same way he leaned in to segregationists when he wanted to get the vote. And so I don't understand the pom-poms and the cheering, but you know, but we have it. But let me let you get the last word. We're gonna go to the next call.
I mean, it really comes, I'm feeling we could get into some significant way to start peeling back that onion and looking at the truth and saying, what's it going to take to get the change that we need? These guys are now, for the past several years, I know there's more and more different people, the big, you know, like I said, fiber, you name it, they're telling you our problem.
Yeah.
Is being done to address it. Even when President Obama was in office, those issues, they wanted to carry a post-racial society.
Right. Why would anybody worry when we could be entertained and talk about Orange Man Orange? Why would something change? It's so entertaining, and that's what I get. It's entertaining. I call Donald Trump the convenient excuse. He's a convenient excuse for people to be able to do what they want to do, and one person get the blame. And he deserves a lot of it. But other people deserve blame as well. Go ahead, Rachel.
Here's my final comment on it. We go this time in November or January. It will not matter until we change. From what Biden replacing with anybody else, and we've already had the black president and got no change. It will not change until we change.
I agree with that.
He's asked for the right thing, and he's demanding the right thing, and let's get off this place where we are. And you know what? I just hate to say, we have adopted a mindset overall of going after poverty stuff. Give me the poverty ticket. Talking about they give a handout of some free turkeys, free sandwiches, free dinner, and I'll take the free dinner, you know what I'm saying, because I don't like cooking. But let's not make that our policy. Let's not make non-profit our policy.
Let's figure out a way for policy to hand out opportunity, not turkey dinner.
It will, and do like some of the other people are doing out there. That's what I was saying.
Absolutely.
Our kids will, I guarantee you, you can look at our problems because we are, but and we are performing much better, and our crime rates and so forth don't drop significantly when we're playing that role.
Yes, everything. I agree with you. I agree with you. Thank you for the call, Record. I appreciate it. 12:30, the Source caller, you on the line. What's on your mind?
Okay, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing? International man of intrigue. How you feeling?
Feeling good, man. I mean, you know, I wish I could have got in on that last conversation with you guys, but there's a lot of conversation that needs to be had. Basically, we talk about economics, we talk about change about people, and it's easy to say that, but at the same time, you gotta understanding economics, understand how money works, understanding all the important things is the first step. Not just having economics, having wealth, having the ability, you gotta understand how the game works, to participate in the game, to build capital in the game, to build generational wealth. They do, and we're not at that point. It makes me mad every time I hear somebody say, oh, what do we take? No, it's more good than that. It's actually a blueprint. It's their blueprint, believe it or not. Because even currency, the way the government looks at it right now, why they're saying we have to get back and open up the economy, because the government knows money that's printed is not attached to anything, is nothing. Money is just attached to labor, services, and goods that are produced. It's nothing. Because to be factual about the whole thing is, money itself is a piece of paper. It's got to be attached to something that has worth. The government can print money forever, but guess what? The small businesses of America employ people to pay taxes and generate government money. So they can print it all they want, but at some point, the money has to stop.
Well, it becomes worthless. And what I was saying is this. I was saying the way that the money is being allocated that has been printed has flowed the wrong way. And the ability to print money and to make more money is still there. There still might be, yes, there might be a consequence, some type of inflation, but it's there. It's not impossible. That's what I'm saying. And I think when he and Rayford, if you want to call back, call back. I think what Rayford was talking about, and this is just I'm guessing. I think he was talking about when he says we have to change. I think he was talking about our political mindset. Our political mindset. Instead of just taking whatever somebody want to give you, you know, or just the symbolism, oh, here, or the identity politics. Here goes a black politician, vote for him, without ever saying, well, hold on. What is this politician going to do? What are this politician's policies? What are their thoughts? What are they trying to pass? What's their history? Who are they taking money from? That's what I think he meant when he said, you know, black people have to change. But again, that would be my perception. That's my perception, and that's the way I mean it. And again, if you want to call back and clarify it for yourself, then that's fine. But go ahead, Greeland, and we're going to bring somebody else on. But go ahead, Greeland. I'm going to let you continue. Go ahead, Greeland.
Get back to my initial opening statement, blueprint. You have to have a blueprint. A fundamental, in other words, if there's no reparations, by now African Americans should have a blueprint. Here's my case point. In the 1950s, we had the black family, a husband and a wife, and they had children. The breadwinner of the family was the black man, and he was strong. He educated his children, he put them through college, and we were the medical force. Someone along the line, we followed up the band-aid. And that's what I mean by blueprint. You've got to get your ideology right first before you can profit.
Yeah, I agree. You got to get some type of at least a solid ideology, or enough people in agreement over an ideology. Find things that make sense and move forward on those things. But it's hard to get an ideology when you have so many mixed messages coming out. You have so many, and everything is politics. People don't know who to believe anymore, Greeland. Here, let me do this. I'm going to add a caller to the line, Greeland, and we're going to continue. All right, is that cool? All right. 1230 The Source. This is Soapbox Heroes. You are on the line with Tyrone and Greeland. Now the computer not messing with my head. What's going on with you, Ernest?
All right. Okay, feel free to stop. Okay, you can straight now.
All right, stop. I was just checking. You see Greeland sitting there tell you to do something, and when you do it, they don't listen. Go ahead, Ernest.
What about the marriage?
As far as what? Give me some context. Well, they are. They're talking about Mexicans and other and other, if you want to say, undocumented workers or illegal immigrants. I read in California that, and that's a whole nother show for a whole nother day, whether you think it should be done or shouldn't be. But they're talking about giving them the $1,200 and the unemployment that they're giving the American citizens. So they're being talked about. And look, in the bill that was just, well, not the bill that was written in the House by Nancy Pelosi, she has in there provisions to where, okay, so if you're an illegal alien and you're working somewhere, you can't be deported during the pandemic. So you can't be deported, nor can the person who hired the illegal immigrant be arrested. So they're in the news. You're just not listening. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Here's that change. What do the change look like? Oh, I think change is coming. I think it's on the horizon. I think it's the battle of power right now, and I think it's coming. Who is we? I'm ready. Greeland, you ready for change?
Yeah, I'm ready. I don't think we're going to change my number. I know that. Well, just another 8 years before we continue to get after.
Yeah, it'll be a while, but if the change is coming, I think more things are being exposed too.
I mean, but you can't really, give me a second. Okay, you can't really, a man under the bridge can get a federal check here.
Yep,
Really?
yeah,
Really?
really.
Oh, man, man, under the bridge, get a check. Oh, no. And you say you just,
I mean, yeah, you know, they take it, if that man on the bridge did his taxes in the last few years and haven't addressed, then, you know, if they can bring it, if he got a mailbox, then he can get a check. Unless he on child support.
oh, okay, that's what you're talking.
That's why he on the bridge, he dodging child support. All right. All right, Ernest, I thank you, Jay. We appreciate you calling, man. Stay straight out there. Don't sip too much in tonight, man. All right. Oh, man. So, yeah, Greenland, I think people were just confused at this point. What do you believe? You know what, Greenland? I think we need a third party. I'll be honest with you. I think it's to the point to where we need a third party. I think us as a country, I think we're cowards. I think we're scared. I think we're scared of the change that it might represent. And I think we're scared of what the two major parties tell you. Ooh, you can't do it. It's not viable. But it's not viable because we don't vote for it. What do you think, Grayson?
The problem is, if we do get a third party, it can't be too extreme to the problem.
It can't, but that's the thing. The two parties we have now are too doggone extreme. And then look, this is the thing. They're really extreme on wedge issues. But when it comes to like financial issues and stuff like that, they're very similar. Look at this new bill, Green. And like I said, I don't think people are realizing, because you see the memes and you see the headlines that says Democrats introduce new $300 billion bill to blah, blah, blah. But they're not even looking at the bill. So out of all them billions of dollars, you're gonna get $1,200. And still, they put a provision in there to where corporate lobbyists, and when I say corporate lobbyists, I mean lobbyists for people like McDonald's, for the oil industry, you know, so they could get PPP money. And this is written by the Democrats. This sounds like something the Republicans would do, but these are the Democrats. And people are out there mad that it didn't pass because it is just optics. The whole bill was symbolism. You see, so much of it had nothing to do with the coronavirus, with the response to the coronavirus. It's a joke, but the headline says this won't get passed. And so all you think is, well, the other side is evil, they won't pass it. Well, they didn't write it to pass in the first place. It was written for those headlines, but they know that we're not going to dig into it. So that's why I say, Green, at some point in time, it seems like we need a third party. And I agree with you. They can't be to the extreme.
Well, you know, Nancy Pelosi, I gotta give her credit. She is one of the best showwoman in the history of politics, because once again, this week, you know, she did that. And then all of a sudden she came out, she called on some morbid obesity because he claimed to say, I'm not the president, which I don't think he's taking.
Yeah, and my thing is, whether he's taking it or not, all right, address that, but then address all this stuff going on with the people in this country who don't have enough money to get through, or all the confusion based on all the different news. Everything is politics. Who gives a damn what he's taking and what he's not? I understand people are like, well, he's giving bad information. Well, if you know that, you know, if you believe that, then you believe it's bad information. That shouldn't worry you. You see, it's like they just keep holding up the smallest stuff in front of us while the whole house is getting robbed. Let me do this real quick. 12:30 The Source. You on the line, caller. What's on your mind?
Good evening, afternoon, or whatever else I had to dig my phone out the wall and come call y'all.
Good evening.
He get a text, and I don't get a text.
You don't get a check?
No, okay, I don't want to get taken off the ground. What the fuck?
So you don't get a check?
I listen to y'all all the time, and you know, a lot of times I just don't call in, and I've been listening since the first time with the call in season. You talking about other men fighting for everybody and getting this and putting free money. I didn't do none of that free money. He just put money we running out of money, put some ink in the fire. I mean, you just swam across the border, walked in and said, I got 2 kids, don't put in some money. Oh, let's get it. So I'm just saying, keep saying somebody. No, my name, she said, it's there for pay cash, we ain't giving her no money.
So you don't think, so what do you think about that, PK? What do you think? Do you think that illegal immigrants should be able to get stimulus money?
He said, if I thought you should have got it, black is not even in the room to dog.
Well, in some states, you know, well, in California, they are voting on it. Isn't that correct, really? In California, is that something they're voting on to, or Gavin Newsom is going to do it?
Yeah, Gavin Newsom, you know, he's pretty much controlled by a predominantly Hispanic legislator, so they're gonna always bring him over, and they got a nose in his, they got a hook in his damn nose, and he's gonna just run with it, you know what I mean?
Okay, all right, PK, what you think? What else on your mind?
They need to put a hook in our governor's nose.
You know, we need to put a hook.
And then you can't get from the hospital you did it, didn't you?
Who?
Remember this girl that hooked you behind?
I don't know.
And he's like, what, almost in his late 80s, and he had like a 40-year-old girlfriend, he had something wrong, but she moved him up coming in on, look at the 80s.
Wow, okay, I'm gonna have to look that up, PK.
Yeah, he had the cognitive, and everything walking him down, he didn't be mad, he walking himself.
Right. PK, how does that make you feel to hear the chairman of the Fed give advice to the rest of the government saying, you know what, I think we should help the people?
I think it's pretty good. I really appreciate that he knew he was sticking his neck out there. And sometimes you look in your job and say, this is just too far long. This is too far long.
Yeah.
Sometimes you go in knowing it's going to cost you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, PK, I appreciate that. You got something else in your mind?
No, because I don't want to get disconnected.
Yeah, don't say nothing wrong, PK. Don't. Good night, PK. I appreciate you. yeah, and I appreciate that. Yeah, it's so much going on, PK, and I hope we can weed through it and start taking steps in the right direction as a collective. Oh yeah, we was trying to get the sound. See, I didn't even know, but I'm glad to know now that we were loud and clear. All right, PK, thank you. All right, that was PK. I love it when PK called. Yeah, Greenland. So Greenland, what else is on your mind?
Yeah, you know, that word was optic, you know, even though the federal chairman, he's coming up with these things. There's both sides, you know, the Democrats come out, they can see they want to help out the people. So he has over to say that is a good thing to do. But he's also echoing that, hey, they're pretending, you know.
Exactly, Greenland. That's what I'm saying. He is saying, like, hey, wait a minute. They are playing you guys. And he's not saying, oh, the Republicans are playing you. Oh, the Democrats are playing you. He is essentially saying they are playing you. He's saying, look, this is what I recommend. And he's saying it right there. This is what we should do. Because the Democrats aren't putting this stuff in bills, and neither are the Democrats. I mean, the Republicans nor the Democrats. And he's saying it right out.
Oh, well, you know, tell me what he, you know what, we're so growing up on boundary lines and politics. And that's why we're not getting anymore. We're too drawn. We got a boundary line drawn on information and things that can help us. In other words, if it's coming from him, it's no good. If it's coming from him, it's good. But you gotta understand, you are fishing the pond. And all the hooks, they can't get in, they're all gonna hook you with it. You gotta understand it. You gotta work, take out the bite. Don't fight on the bait.
You do got to know what bite to, what part of the bait to bite. And again, Greenland, this is the thing. I think there is so much joking, well, not joking, just misinformation given in the media. People don't know what to think. And so, you know what, Greenland, let's take a second, and I want to illustrate this for the people. I like to do this in real time, Greenland. You know, we like to listen, and we like to talk about what we just listened to. Now, this is Chuck Todd, MSNBC. For a lot of people, they cannot lie, no matter how much they lie. And this is what I think is part of the problem, is where we get our news. And tell me if you agree, Greenland, when it comes down to media, I can lie by not giving you all the information. And so if you, let's say you just trust me for information and you're not doing too much of your own looking for information, you only trust me. And over the time, I get you to not trust somebody else. So you don't trust the other guy, you only trust me. And all I talk about is the good of this person, the good of this person, the good of this person. I never mention what that person does bad. Now, the person that you don't like, they mention what the person that you do like does bad. You're never going to believe them, even if they're telling the truth, because you're already trained to not listen to them. And that's what the media do. The media will talk about, they'll talk about a story and they'll only give you half of the story. And then when somebody gives you the rest of the story, they'll be like, oh, there go those crazy people again. Now, they'll never say the story is false. They'll just say, oh, there goes those crazy people again. And so in your mind, you're like, oh, there go those crazy people, so it's false. Because I saw people who would outright just dismiss any possibility that the FBI lied on Michael Flynn or tried to set him up. And I'm saying, so just the out. Well,
And that's what that means. In other words, when you're in this contradiction or the government, contradiction, we are. For example, you contradiction, everybody knows it. For them to know the mass truth out of all this, what is the purpose of that?
Yeah, I hear. Well, I hear as far as the unmasking, and I got a message from Robert. He says, I still don't see where Obama did a crime. This is my point. The people who are just outright willing to dismiss it without looking. So I'm not getting into the weeds on whether a crime was committed or a crime wasn't committed. We could do that because we'd have to do that in detail because there's a lot of nuance to the story both ways. But what I'm talking about is people's sheer knee-jerk reaction to anything you hear who's coming from somebody who may not be that one person that you trust or that one outlet that you trust is automatically a lie. And that's because you're putting your trust, well, not, and I'm not talking about anyone in particular, but I've noticed that people put their trust in one set of people. And that one set of people molds what you think. So anything contradictory to that is automatically crazy. Go ahead, Greg.
You recall the statement earlier on, right after the election, that said, our insurance policy gets covered. Remember the insurance policy? The little investigative policy. Well, we have an insurance policy.
Oh, Russia.
Yes, exactly. So the Russian Revolution thing was the insurance policy to go after him in the next, like you said. It was just spontaneous. You know, it was even
yeah, absolutely. The investigation was already written on paper here. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to go over here to Chuck Todd, and we're going to play it, and I want people to hear what's going on. So let me play this real quick.
Well, history is written by the winners, so it's largely depends on who's writing history.
I was struck, Peggy, by the cynicism of the answer. It's a correct answer, but he's the Attorney General. He didn't make the case that he was upholding the rule of law. He was almost admitting that, yeah, this is a political job.
Okay, that's Chuck Todd, and he's talking about Bill Barr. And he's talking about Bill Barr, and I want to play it again because Chuck Todd says that, let me play it again.
History is written by the winners. So it's largely depends on, well, history is written by the winners, so it's largely depends on who's writing.
And what they do right there, they start the clip, history depends on the winners. And he give a smug laugh. And then he goes on to say this. And that's why I say in the editing, they highlighted the laugh, because in Chuck Todd's first sentence, he says, Peggy, I'm struck by the cynicism. You hear that? You hear that, Greenland? Well, hold on. Don't give it away. Don't give it away. I'm struck by the cynicism. All right. Now, let me go on and let me play the rest of what Chuck Todd said.
It's a correct answer, but he's the Attorney General. He didn't make the case that he was upholding the rule of law.
He says he didn't make the case that he was upholding the rule of law.
Correct answer, but he's the Attorney General. He didn't make the case that he was upholding the rule of law. He was almost admitting that, yeah, this is a political job.
All right. He said he was almost admitting that this is a political job. Now let's hear that clip in totality, not the edited version.
Well, history is written by the winners, so it's largely depends on who's writing history. But I think a fair history would say it was a good decision because it upheld the rule of law.
It upheld the rule of law. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Greenland, if I'm not mistaken, here, let's listen to Chuck Todd say what he didn't say again.
Well, history is written by the winners, so it's largely depends on who's writing history.
And you see, they stopped it right there. They stopped it right there in Chuck Todd. Now, what did he say he didn't say? What'd you say, Chuck?
Struck Peggy by the cynicism. It's a correct answer, but he's the Attorney General. He didn't make the case that he was upholding the rule of law. He was almost admitting that, yeah, this is a political job.
I mean, that's journalism.
Uh-huh.
That's what he wants to do, to paint a picture, and then he paint a picture. Tell the totality of the conversation.
Yeah, he didn't tell the totality of the conversation, and he said he didn't say his exact next words. One more time, Greenland, just one more time, because MSNBC don't lie. Just one more time.
Well, history is written by the winners, so who's writing history, but I think a fair history would say it was a good decision because it upheld the rule of law.
It upheld the rule of law. Something that was said wasn't spoken about, which was clearly spoken about. And so look, Greenland, this is what they did. So MSNBC, the next day, they come out and they put in a tweet that they apologized. It was an accident. How do you accidentally edit out somebody's words? You edit on purpose. This is a lie.
Or, I mean, that's nothing new, I mean, this has been going on for quite a while. Even throughout the impeachment trial where, you know, we have bona fide evidence, we have concrete evidence. And you want all what the impeachment are, but no concrete evidence. Or just he said, I assume that's what it said. No, it's not the charade of impeachment.
Well, I think when it comes to the impeachment, there's a few dynamics going on. Now, I kept saying from the start, no, they're never going to have solid evidence. But I do also believe that Donald Trump works in a way to where he knows how to avoid solid evidence. He knows how to get away with stuff. We have two things at play there. So yeah, was there solid evidence? No. But is there a way that people know how to operate without evidence, especially when that's your intentions? Yes. Was it well overblown? Absolutely.
What is it? To get back on that older, what is Joe Biden's son had a contract in Burisma, making money with no qualifications, and the government of the president so died as a chief secretary of this country to prove up any kind of corruption. And the he had to lead up like this and look, can you take in and see us check on this to make sure that everything's legitimate?
Greenland, hold on. You said something wrong. You said Joe Biden in a negative fashion or doing something wrong. You know that's not allowed. You know you cannot say anything about Joe Biden. This isn't a secret, Greenland. You know the rules. Don't matter. It's Joe Biden. Blue, no matter who. It don't matter. Joe Biden can shoot somebody in the middle of the 5th Street and get away with it. It don't matter. It don't matter, Greenland, blah, blah, blah. I can't hear your head in the sand. 12:30 the source. You on the line. What they sweeping under the rug? What lie? What the lie? Show me the lie. What lie? What lie? What lie? What lie? All right, man. Well, look, let me know when you catch your breath. But look, that clip right there, I didn't make it up. That was something that literally happened. And the reason that they do it is to steer a narrative. And then the bad part is, if you point it out, now it's like you're the bad person. But he was trying to make Barr look a certain way. He was trying to make Bill Barr look a certain way by cutting off his words in deceptive editing. And the editing wasn't even that, well, it was deceptive as far as getting out the real message of what he said. But it wasn't hard. They just simply stopped it. And then Chuck Todd inserted the rest of what he said, or what he should have said, but he did say it. What do you feel about that? I'm asking legit Ernest, what you think about that? I don't think Ernest there, man. I think he just say that we was.
Here's the quick throwback. Like Adam Schiff said, the original Born statement was, hey, I need you to do us a favor. Don't follow us, we'll follow you. You know, oh, I should sensationalize it. Wait a minute, you talking about removing Mary Austin from committing crime. You talking about you sensationalize the statement? Come on, man.
Well, you know what? This Adam Schiff, it has came out that he said things that wasn't true and embellished. And these are things that are, I'm saying as, I just dislike Adam Schiff. I can't stand the man. It's not that. It's just true. And, my thing is I'm going to be truthful regardless, whichever party does and says what, you have to be truthful about it. And I think sometimes we want to dodge that because we don't want the feeling of, oh, wow, we're getting played from both sides, or I've given so much to this side to where I don't ever want to hold their feet to the fire. And so when it comes to certain things like that, we're going to hold everybody's feet to the fire. And even when it comes to the media. And so it just is what it is. But that's why I think people are so confused, Greenland. People listen to Chuck Todd. People watch MSNBC. So if you only watch MSNBC and Meet the Press, remember, Tim Russert was a great host of Meet the Press. And so you had a long legacy of the show being on. People wake up and watch this. If the only thing you saw was Chuck Todd come out and misrepresent Bill Barr's words, you're going to believe that.
One thing we got to keep in mind is the news media, the politics are all over. So it's up to you to decide what is true, what is not true. Do you know the evidence? There is a fact. If you can do that, you just can't go with what they tell you, because sometimes I say people are saying their own narrative.
Greenland, Tony says, how come Trump's family is getting patent approvals in China and it's so bad, and we're in a trade war? And that's true. Melania Trump, that's his daughter, Melania, right? Ivanka, his daughter. She has been getting trade. She's been getting trade patents for years now. This isn't even new. I remember one day, I think 3 years ago, she got like 17 in one day, all stuff that they couldn't get patented before he was the president. And so it's a tone. I'm gonna say they all wrong. That's the point. In my opinion, they wrong. Nancy Pelosi's son worked on the board. What, for Burisma or something as well? No. He's into medical marijuana now, and that's why all of a sudden they're looking to allocate money for medical marijuana. Look at the timing, but it is what it is. But yeah, Trump's kids are definitely getting patents and stuff like that. Go ahead, Greenland.
I mean, you know, they all participate in money. They all have growth and opportunity, but they all keep taking their money. It always is. That's the truth. And that's why the regulators say, well, look, if you want to open up Pandora's box for Joe Biden's son, we'll let you open up the back door of Donald Trump and his village over there too.
Well, that would make me happy. I want to open it up, period. I was watching a special the other day. It was saying something like 90% of all of the Congress, they have family who somehow benefits from government directly through contracts or jobs, or they become lobbyists. 90%. All of them go there for that. They all go there for that, but we focus on one person. But that's my thing. That's why my thing is to not just focus on Donald Trump, but also focus on the other factors into it. Because I look at things like this. Within the last stimulus that was written by the House, they have a provision in there to where they want to give billions of dollars to look into women medical marijuana farmers and business owners. And when you first think about it, it sounds great. But then when you think about it, you got to look back 8-9 months prior. And at first it was minority medical marijuana owners. But now they took the minority and flipped it, and now it's women. And it sounds good, but when you think about all the black men that and minority men, but black men that they have put in jail behind marijuana, now they take the minority part out. So those black men, they no longer can get into this industry. And now you're talking about women. And so now we have to look at the women who can afford to get into the medical marijuana industry or the growing industry or a business of marijuana. Because again, they want to research banking, right? And so now they just eliminated all the black people that went to jail for it. They done eliminated even the black women, because black women, if we look socially on the social economic tip of it, black people, we have the least money in the country. So systematically, they just weeded out black people out of something, and everybody's just clapping. Yay! Yay!
It's a long time for black people to stop letting women, black women, how they call people of color. How they put you in a black category of people of color, because we always get your thing when you put it in the fire like that.
That's my point. And that's just what they did. And see, we have to remember, because at first they were talking about, and I know we're taking a slight detour and I'm gonna get to the next call, but when we were talking about the medical marijuana, a lot of the legislation was coming from ideas of places like Illinois. Parts of Illinois, they wanted to do it as a reparation. So it went from a reparation to let's study how we're going to make it the banking equitable for minorities in this industry. And now it has went from minorities to women, which is already a minority. And so when they open it up to just women, that means white women. That means white women. And at the very same time, Nancy Pelosi's son just start working in the medical marijuana industry. I bet you one of his main partners is going to be white women. Go look it up. That's what they do. They put their families in great position. That's what they do. Hey, I say, clean them all out. Let's get people in there who wants to do the right thing. I think the money and the fringe benefits, like Tone said, is the problem. 1230 The Source. This is Soapbox Heroes. What's on your mind?
Clean them out.
Well, as you clean them out, you put in new ones, or you force them to bend by your will by not acquiescing and giving them everything they want.
Well, let me say this. Look, girl. This is a rebel country. The foundation of this country is rebel. And so these people have stolen from every demographic in the world.
Mhm.
So, paying them out, you just gonna get a new matchup. Doing the same thing. Because guess who's from this country?
And that's who we can. Okay, look, glad you said that. Lobbyists for big corporations and big businesses, right? And this is go ahead.
We not lobbyists.
We're not. And what I'm trying to say is we're not lobbyists. We don't have lobbying firms. We don't even, to be a lobbyist, you have to have an agenda. So you got to start there. One, if we had a lobbyist, what would they go ask for right now?
I don't know what they
I thought, go ahead.
Yeah, but here's what I'm trying to make that. I don't know if you ever listen to my brother Ali Muhammad.
Yeah.
Brother Muhammad says that is a system of white supremacy, and some other terminology he used, I don't have it down on the pad right now. But if you think about this in worldwide domination, I think it's the other part of that phrase. Man, let me see, every strategy is being put in place has always been to exclude us. This women and minority stuff, this ain't new stuff. This is old stuff.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I think they're celebrating right now. One of the years of a woman's right to be in the vote. Because they didn't have the right to vote at one time.
Right.
But guess what? Everybody was gonna vote.
Now they husbands vote.
Oh, look at the vote.
They husbands vote. Yeah. I agree.
And I work in the petrochemical business. And let me tell you, there was a company, I started a small company, distribution company with 2 trucks, okay? Built it into a converter, okay? And had a contract with most of all the oil companies around Houston, Exxon, Mobil, matter of fact, you might see their trucks running around town called JNE.
Okay.
And only know more because our company have bought them out. But before he bought them out, before they bought them out, he raised up his wife and made a subsidiary of this company to be able to go get those contracts that was geared for us and geared for us minorities. So when I say I know this is a contract, yeah, there's a system in place. So we go out and fight to get the contract, to get the designation of this minority contract, and then they stand and say white women to go get the contract.
Yeah, well, see, I think what has to be known is the system that's happening. Okay, so there's a system, right? And so the white women end up going to get the contracts. But I think we have to have also, when we talk about system in place, we have to have a truthful system in place that gives people the information that these things are going on. Because a lot of people outside of that profession don't know what's going on. I'm sure there were people in the profession that didn't know what was going on until after it happened. And I think a lot of that is because we are misled into believing certain people are good, certain people are bad, without looking at these people in general. And so the thing about white supremacy is this. I don't like the term white supremacy because to me, it almost makes me feel inferior to somebody just saying it. Now I understand I understand what you mean, the system of control that has been here, the system of trying to dominate, but even to say a system of dominance would be very short-sighted. And we think that, I think, because we only took, I think it's because we're only looking from slavery forward. Go before that, and then let's talk about dominance. So that's a whole, you see, but I think that we have to do something. We have to have good information, and we have to believe the good information and act upon it. We have terrible information.
Well, here's the other thing that's going on too. When we did have people in these positions that would help get us those contracts and give us a heads up about what's getting ready to come down the pipeline, here's what they do to those people.
They
come out of industry.
Either, or they run them out of industry, or they give them a nice cushy job so they could do the bidding of them.
That's true. One of my favorite calls was Rayford. I'm surprised he didn't call in, but
he did earlier.
All the time. Yeah, well, yeah, I just got about that, but yeah, one of the things that he talked about is the fact that some of the same people that look like me and you around there to see what the penny is on getting the contract are the same people that work against us.
Yep.
But they so scared of their, like you said, they so scared of their job or they got a first job, and that's what the system does, is put them in a position to be like Stephen from Django, you keep you out the big house. You away from these multi-million-dollar contracts.
Right.
So, you know, I have seen this happen time and time again. And you know, the other thing that goes on in the political arena is let me run for office, build up this worship in the political campaign, never terminate the campaign.
And keep them. Yep.
For the campaign.
Your uncle, your auntie, your kids, moms, and your wife. That's it's a lot of money to get passed around. But again, you guys, that's why I say I think that we have to focus on everything, the whole aspect of it, and not just Donald Trump. He's definitely not the only person in the wrong. I think he's a very convenient excuse. I think that if people, you have reason to be mad, but you also have to have reason to be honest and keep things in perspective, because I don't think we know a lot of when we're being lied to. You guys heard that MSNBC clip. If you didn't know, if nobody else were to play it in its totality and you weren't on Twitter to know that they said, oops, I'm sorry, it was an accident, you would just believe it in the context and what they're giving. And I think that's why so many people are misled. And look, I got you guys here. I think you guys are the perfect people to do this. I want to see if you guys could catch the BS. Can you guys help me do that real quick? All right. Well, I'm going to play. This is the press secretary today, and she was asked a question. And I want to see if you guys can spot the dance. Here we go.
But it's good to see that most states, I think basically all of them have plans this summer to reopen, and we're starting to see the state reopening in several states, and they're getting back to work. Let's take a reaction to some of the from the American Nurses Association, which says, quote, the American Nurses Association does not receive reports from nurses or other frontline healthcare workers utilizing hydroxychloroquine as a preventative treatment of COVID-19. Why does the president continue to say many or thousands of frontline workers are using it as a prophylactic? Well, there is a Henry Ford Hospital is doing a study on this now, where 3,000 frontline workers looking at its use as a prophylaxis. There's a few hundred, 190 workers in Tampa General Hospital. So this is being used by some. And one thing I want to note with regard to hydroxychloroquine is I think it's very important that we're reporting that has been 5 years for lupus, arthritis, and malaria. It has a very good safety profile, but it as with any prescription, it should be given by doctors with that context prescription from their doctor. With that being said, I've seen a lot of apoplectic coverage of hydroxychloroquine. Presidents who are trying to kill themselves. You had Jim Scarborough saying, quote, this on its that.
All right, did you guys hear the fact that she never answered the question? She never answered the question. I said she got on tap shoes for real. She said, what proof do you have that there are thousands of healthcare workers out there taking this? I can't even pronounce it. And she said, well, there's a study that's about to start. But wait a minute. She never answered the question. And that, go ahead. You hear that? And that's why I laugh, is because now let's go to the other side, because we talked about MSNBC and we see that Chuck Todd is playing games. Now, when we look at the Trump administration and we hear stuff like this, I can see why people get so frustrated, because she's clearly just dodging the question, which means, is he lying when he says thousands of frontline workers are taking this stuff? Because she can't clearly just give an answer. She can't say, well, this is where he's getting the information, and this is why he said it. She just tap dancing and never answered the question, guys. And that's why I think we're so lost. Go ahead.
Yeah, have you touched the question of Mike Pompeo earlier this year? I think in February, talking about the fact that they had given a big shipment to Wuhan, China, for PPE equipment.
Yeah.
How they, okay. That was right now on the shortage of PPE and China's making this PPE. Let me tell you something about Pompeo. Trump is just a figurehead.
Thank you. Thank you. That's what I'm saying. He is just a convenient excuse.
The real levels of government is being put by Mike Pompeo.
Mike Pompeo, and look, and then when you want to come down to the congressional level, and Mitch McConnell. That's who is pulling the strings. And hold on, and I cannot forget Nancy Pelosi, because I'm the person that says, yes, it is the Trump administration, but it's the Trump Pelosi government at this time. She's the leader of the House. She's the speaker. And when they're coming out with the bills, she is the brain trust of the bills. It was funny, and like I said, I found out the other day, I started looking at the first CARES Act, and I don't know why I went back to it. And I looked up the date that it was written, and it was written in July of last year. And I said, well, they did all this posturing like this was brand new. This is an old bill with a little bit of new language. But both parties got us thinking that this is something they've been working day and night on. They playing games with us, y'all.
That's true, that's true.
What's going on? I'm just looking at it. I'll say, wait a minute. Well, we've been sitting here debating back and forth for weeks and weeks and weeks on a bill that was written last year. The bill isn't even new, but we running around here going crazy. So
my baby got a brother last year, and she took some type of vaccination.
And I absolutely believe her. And look, speaking of that, I got something else. And they saying they're opening the bars out here and stuff on Friday, right? So they're also giving us guidance on wearing masks still. So are we supposed to wear our mask and go to the bar?
Man, I don't know how you do that. I'm in the coastal bend down in Corpus, yes. And we went to this restaurant out on the bay. And there was nobody in the restaurant there, man, except for a few workers.
Wow.
And man, I refused to sit there. I went outside and spent the whole prayer walking until I was buried.
That's what you do. Here, look. Speaking of masks, I want to play this. We're just listening today. We're just catching some things. I want to play this because we're talking about masks now and things opening back up. Let's listen to this.
Wearing masks now is just not relevant. We need to be walking around with a mask right now. Masks, quite frankly, are more important for people who are infected to be defended from infecting someone else.
And hopefully they will get a better mask
mask from the drugstore. The drugstore masks itself have a lot of loopholes that let the virus through.
That's Dr. Fauci. What did he say about masks that you buy at the liquor store and stuff? Ain't that something? Doctor, and that's what people forget. People always say, well, listen to the experts. Well, the expert told me that these masks everybody's wearing are not going to work. Now you guys see what I mean? Go ahead.
We got man done with the man. We got cartridges, man.
Yeah. Those are good masks.
They about $300.
And see, in me, I got some of those liquor store masks that he was talking about that don't work. And so I need something to kill the bacteria, to kill the virus. But you see, but that's what I was talking about earlier. We have so much information and misinformation and disinformation coming at us from everywhere. Nobody knows what to believe. And if it's coming from somebody that, if you listen to Channel 5 and they tell you that Channel 7 is a liar, whatever Channel 7 says is a lie, no matter how true it is. And that's where we're at. All right, man. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. All right. Greeland. Oh, I think I hit the wrong one. Let me see. Let me go right here. 1230 The Source. What's on your mind? As you say, some of us don't need masks because we so ugly at Halloween. Do you need a mask? You lying? Yes, you do. You ain't got to lie to kick it. You ain't got to lie to kick it. Come on, Ernest. I know you got on the mask. I know. We all good. Hey, Ernest, let me let you go, man. I'm about to do the close real quick. All right, brother. Hey, you guys, look, we had a fascinating conversation today. We jumped around a little bit, but I wanted to display, some lies, some clear lies and some clear backstepping or some quick dodging. And I wanted to show it on both sides because I don't want it to seem like, I'm always just harping on one side. I do think that I talk about the Democrats more than the Republicans because I think as Black people, we already have a fervent distrust for Republicans. But I do think that we have too much trust for the Democrats. And I think that, we need to look at both of them with the jaundiced eye because we have been getting played all the way around. And so that's why I do that. And so I think it's good that we go and we can actually hear some things and dissect them for ourselves and not just hear what somebody else is telling us. And again, I think all the information we get, sometimes we forget things that we heard not too long ago. Again, like I just played Dr. Fauci saying that the masks that you're just out there buying, they don't even work. Hold on, let me play it again.
People wear masks now. It's just more important for people who are infected to prevent them from infecting someone else. And hopefully they will get a better mask than the drugstore stuff. Right. The drugstore masks have a lot of loopholes in them that let the virus through.
The drugstore masks that they sell at the stores have a lot of loopholes that let the virus get through. So, hey, you guys, go ahead and wear them masks on Friday. Have a good time at the bar. Say cheers, and you will not be seeing me. This is Soapbox Heroes. You guys, much love. Peace.
People wear it's just masks, quite frankly, are more important for people who are infected than for and hopefully get better masks than the drugstore stuff. Right. The masks that still have a lot of loopholes that let the virus through. Okay. So wash your hands repeatedly. You don't need a mask, and just avoid crowded places where everyone's exercising.
That was at the beginning. See you guys tomorrow. Peace. 12:30 The Source call. What's on your mind? What's going on with you? Fried chicken, who making fried chicken? I want some fried chicken. Wait, risotto? What am I reading? Garlic parm. Hey, where do we get a plate at? Man, scientist, man, what's going on with you, man? Who on here showing up about food? Everybody hungry. All right, y'all, I'm about to get up out of here. I'll see y'all tomorrow. My other camera just keep blanking out on me. Pow.